So we're going to look at our closest relatives. Pretty interesting that, that our current body pattern and, the size of our brain was there, almost 2 million years ago with Homo erectus. Pretty well the same. It wasn't until 50,000 years ago that we really started to, transform as a culture, through invention of tools and sharing of tools, and started to really, organize in a different way. But nevertheless, the body is the same. And it's interesting looking at the size. Ardipithecus here, it's only about, 3 feet tall, and, these big toes like a monkey, so really adapted for trees, life in the trees. There's confusion about, there's different phases that gorillas go through, different types of movement, and people aren't really sure whether we ever went through the knuckle walking phase, or whether that was one theory, that we came down from the trees and then we started to adapt ourselves to the land. And there's another group of people who say, no, well, rather than coming down and making a complete break from the forest, we probably lived in the trees and came down onto the ground, for a long time to develop. And well, it takes a long time, but it's really interesting if you look at the skeleton, the difference between this is a gorilla, female gorilla and a female human. But, the size of the pelvis, the difference, the length of the pelvis. That means the length of the connection, the sacrum to the spine, is bigger. And, look at the size of the shoulder blades compared to the human ones. Massive in terms of the amount of muscle that they have in there and the power that they have in their arms. So these are gorillas who walk on their, knuckles to move. Like, where are you? Here. And, they have much longer arms than the legs, so it's a balanced thing to do. Plus the amount of power they have in their upper arms is remarkable. And if we look at this one, this is more like a chimpanzee skeleton. This is really what I'm interested in today. It's, how do you walk on a branch? And you have to, you're posing hands and feet. They're pushing on either side of the branch to give that stability. Once again, much bigger shoulder blades than we have, much more power in the arms. And there's about 4 different styles of locomotion in gorillas. Some of them are like a gibbon. I've removed my gibbon's picture, which has huge long arms and really powerful trunk, and it spends a lot of time swinging. Or, lowland gorillas who, spend a lot of time foraging on the floor, and then monkeys like this who spend, get most of their, live in trees. And, like these chimpanzees here, it's amazing looking at, how their limbs connect into the torso and the flexibility of those limbs. I mean, the length of the hands are really interesting too, the length of the feet. Still with that opposing thumb, or the thumb that's, can grasp, so it can make a power grip around a branch. And it's fundamentally different from where we are, but we still have elements of it. And, this is different. This is in Thailand. You could, if you see monkeys stampede online, you'll see these, in a tourist town where there's no food anymore. They go berserk over over some food and start attacking each other. But, very different way of moving. And, you can see this is a gorilla in captivity, and frightening some painters, I think, who were working there, or some tradesmen kept on charging them like that. But interesting looking at its feet. and how it moves. They can move really quickly like that, but it's not easy. This one here is really interesting. It's a female gorilla. Look at her feet, the thumb. It gives a really clear sense of, of how you can grip, how she can grip with her feet. And the power of those thumbs. The strength in the palm. Difference in the musculature in the arms and the legs too. How much more, weight there is in the forelimbs than in the lower legs. And if we look at this orangutan too, I mean, look at this leg up here. How this ability to twist its torso is pretty amazing. And then, man, that's one powerful grip, isn't it? So the sense of strength in there is really incredible. So this ability, to grip here, well, that's really the arches of our feet. Reflect that in a way. But the thing that's really interesting, I think, that I hadn't really thought about before is that when you're living in trees, you're living in a moving environment. So everything we do, has this sense of stability and a solid earth. In fact, I remember being in Indonesia and in Java, walking up to a volcanologist's observation station and watching this volcano erupt all night. Just, it was 2 kilometers away from the thing. But the feeling of an earthquake was just bizarre, like the ground could just open up. It was an amazing, amazing thing. So we have this sense of stability that we just take for granted all the time. But they're living in this world where everything moves. Where they're actively using the movement of the trees to leap. This is a proboscis monkey in Borneo. But it's a different type of balance, isn't it? A different sense of the ground and a different sense of how you connect. And if we... Oh, yeah. This spring. I mean, he's just on a stick there, So it requires a different sense of balance, and it's a different way that each side of the body works together that we're going to explore today and see if we can make that easy. Because you'll see when we first try doing it, walking on your hands and feet is one thing. When you try walking on your hands and feet in a line, it's a whole other skill. But there is a way of making it really easy, and I'm hoping you're going to see that today. And this... another proboscis monkey. Notice how it's landing here. It's keeping the sense of the head, the length through the head, neck, and torso. Sorry, am I shouting? Oh, good. I feel like I'm suddenly shouting into the microphone. It keeps the length of its head, neck, and torso. And notice how it's, its head is balanced and free, and it's completely focused on where it's landing. But it's also the way the hands and the feet are moving toward the tree. See how delicately it touches. And if you remember those ones from last week, so much power, but so much delicacy. And you consider this one that I had in the email, just in case anyone didn't see my email. The sensitivity of touch. and gesture. They spend so much time grooming themselves and making alliances and keeping everything, organized within their troop. And, these are captive monkeys. That's not a tree they're standing on. So that, just imagine, just being in school for your whole life, how important it is to make those relationships good. That the more I started to look, there's so many pictures of monkeys or gorillas that are just like prisoners. In fact, let me just show you one. Oops. Oh. Yeah. Oh, oh. No, where are you? Yeah. I mean, man, that's an amazing picture, isn't it? Just an incredible being, how sort of, powerful and muscular, but just trapped there. And in this non-moving environment, all the monkeys, I realize when I see monkeys in zoos, they're all in, it's all planks. Nothing actually shifts. There's not many trees, maybe because they, eat them. It's too hard to keep them. I'll show you one more because it sort of relates to what we're going to do today, flying through the trees. And that is this one. Another proboscis monkey. How about that? So it's crossing from one side of this river in Borneo to the other. And it's, there's crocodiles in the river. So there's a whole organization. The mother goes first, or, the alpha female goes first, and then women and children, and the last one to go is the alpha male, and who gives a call if, when he sights crocodiles. But see how he's using the branch to, give a bit of a spring and then extends. And it's through this extension that they can control the fall. And actually keep moving. Now, stop that GIF before you all go crazy watching the same thing over and over again. So look, this idea of being able to go into full extension, it's pretty, full extension and then down into, to land on something. Or to land in water like those monkeys do. And those proboscis monkeys, they have webbed feet, so they're good swimmers. So let's try this out, shall we? Let's see where this takes us. So it'd be handy to have a bit of space to roll around today, because we'll if you've got space, we can go side to side rolling. If you can do a full roll over and reach to something, that would be great. If you can't, it doesn't matter. You can just improvise. We'll start on our hands and knees as well. And if it's hard being on your hands and feet, we're not going to spend too much time doing that. We're going to do it at the beginning and the end, like last week. But you can always use a table or something. So let's begin in standing. So could you come up to stand? Now notice the weight on your feet. Think of the arches in your feet. And consider, if you had an opposable, you have a separated big toe, that would enable you to grasp branches. The closest thing we have to that is our heel. You can imagine your heel is like a big thumb that holds onto the earth. And could you place your hands down onto the floor and maybe lift them up? So, you bend your knees, keep breathing as you do it, make it really easy. Let your hands hang and feel that your fingers come down onto the floor first, and then the 4 points of each hand, and then lift up. And the palms come off, and then the fingers lift. And perhaps notice how each finger comes down onto the floor. And have your hands down so you could actually balance there. You have equal weight on each hand and each foot. Maybe lift one and then the other, and really consider how you place your hands down. Remember those 4 points of contact in the hands, inside and outside of the heels, and the knuckles underneath the little and first finger. And try walking on your hands and feet here. Just a little bit. And then come back up to stand. And stand as if you're standing on a branch. Make it a nice fat branch, a nice decent branch that's easy to stand on. How would you organize your feet? Would you have your toes pointing out, or would you have your toes pointing in? If you've got this round surface that your foot can hang on to, both the heel and the balls of your feet. And reach up as if you can hold on to another branch, above your head. And maybe try turning your feet out if you had them in, or in if you had them out, and just notice how that actually feels. Because there's one group of monkeys who, like gibbons, who are much more, who can just swing and hang by one arm to feed. But a lot of other monkeys, they stand and use a branch above them, to hold or stabilize themselves. Well, have your feet as if you're standing on a branch, and could you place your hands down so that they too are on a branch? Imagine a branch extending underneath you. So your hands and your feet are in a line. How do you have them organized? There's a certain way that's easy. And how will you move backwards? If we're going to crawl backwards. So try that. Move backwards. Move one foot and then one hand. And sense where that branch is. We have this, and then try going forward. Walking backwards and then walking forwards. And experiment with how you have your hands, how you have your feet, and how you actually place them down. Whether you can do two together, or you have to go one at a time. Whether you have your fingers pointing out, or whether you have them pointing in. It's a different, try both, it's a different form of organization for each one. And maybe climb somewhere, and then stay there, stand up and hold on to a branch again. And then come back down. And can you jump sideways onto another branch? So you've got to try moving your hands across to another branch and then jumping your feet across. And then your hands, and then your feet, And then try jumping across to another one with both. Can you land with your hands and feet at the same place? But leave that. It's not so simple, is it? Let's see if we can make it a bit easier. You know, the major thing is being able to move your torso. So look, lie down on your back. Let's examine this a little bit. See if we can make it a little easier. I mean, imagine that you're lying on a big branch in a huge tree in a jungle somewhere, completely relaxed. And you've found that comfortable spot on the tree. It's a different sense, isn't it, being in a tree, you know, without a ground, you know, that's right where you are. The ground is way below you, could be 30 meters, or make it a lower tree if you're not so comfortable yet with heights. But sense the space all around you. And consider the length of your body from your feet right through to your head. And your pelvis, where your pelvis is, center of your body. Maybe roll your pelvis round in a circle. Roll it over to the side and then up and then across and then down and across. A tiny circle. You know, in order to relax your legs, and just feel the middle of your body. Notice where your hands and feet are relative to your pelvis. And leave that for a moment. And could you imagine that there's a big wind? And it's not blowing you off the branch, but it's moving the tree. Imagine that sense of this flexible ground of being. Flexible ground that you're lying on, moving in the wind. When you can be relaxed and in tune. And lift your knees up. Stand your left foot on the branch, knee in the air, and cross your right foot or right ankle over the top of the left knee there. So it's sitting on the upper thigh. So you could hold it with your left hand. And could you hold on to your right foot with your left hand? And feel, hold on to the heel. Hold the heel. Notice that it's very easy to grasp. You can feel its width. You could turn it a little bit and feel how that turns the lower right leg. Maybe how that influences the upper right leg if you push and pull on that heel to turn the lower leg. If you allow your leg to move as you do that, you allow the rest of your body to be soft, so your rib cage could roll a little bit. Like you're making yourself more comfortable. And maybe hold on to the rest of the foot, the blade of the foot. Move the toes and, consider the inside and outside of the foot, the little toe and the big toe. You could even hold all the toes with your fingers, just feel them and their capacity to press down on things and to manipulate things, to pick things up. Now hold on to the foot in whichever way is comfortable for you. And now could you once again roll your pelvis round in a circle? So it's like there's a clock set in the floor. 12 is up near the top of your pelvis. 6 is down near the bottom. 9 is under your right hip. And 3 is under the left hip. So it's sort of set into the floor, and you roll your pelvis over to the right side. It's at 9. You roll it up towards your head, and it's at 12. You roll it over to the left, and it's at 3. And you roll it down, arch your back. You're at 6. But, a small circle, a comfortable circle. Round in a circle. And notice when you do that, what's happening in your leg. And what you have to do through the rest of your body to make this easy. If you can allow your rib cage and your neck and shoulders to be relaxed, then you'll feel your rib cage move as well. And your head. And go in the other direction. Roll your pelvis round in the other direction. And make it easy. If you find yourself tightening your jaw or something, or your face, stop. Soften. Move your jaw side to side, or do something to tune in. So you could move your pelvis around in a circle in harmony with your breath. As if you're lying here in the jungle without a care in the world. And then leave that, but keep holding on to this foot. Could you roll over onto your left side? Still holding on to the foot, roll onto your left side. So your right foot is on the floor in front of you, and you're holding it with your left hand. Your right knee's in the air. You can let your head relax. You can do whatever you can to make this easy, or adapt it if it's not. Make it easy whichever way you can. And imagine you're lying on a branch here. If you're lying on this moving surface, notice, move your knee in a circle, the right knee, move it round in a circle. As if you've got a good friend sitting next to you, and you're just sort of grooming them by sort of pressing your knee into their back a little bit. In a way they like it. So to move your knee in a circle in this way, to do this action, notice you're also moving your pelvis. And if you think about it now, you know, notice what your left hip is doing, or the left side of your pelvis, how it's now rolling in a circle. The right side of your pelvis is in the air, you know, and the knee is the top of this movement, but you're moving your right knee around from the left hip. And of course, the whole left side, it's lying on this branch, so it's, you know, it's participating as well. You could move your right hand wherever was comfortable to make it easy. And then maybe leave that. Just roll over onto your back again and just rest there for a moment and notice how that feels. Notice how the whole side feels. How that right foot feels. Well, bend your left knee, stand it on the branch again. Cross your right knee over in the same way and hold it with your left hand. You know, maybe notice how that is, if that's a little bit different. You know, you could lift that leg and arm into the air. In a sense, how the left hand and the right foot are connected. You could lift it into the air, the foot and the hand, and if it's hard to hold on to the foot, you can just hold your ankle and move it side to side. Just feel, you know, how could you do this so you could still stay on your branch? You're still balanced, but you could move it side to side. And, you know, make it easy for yourself. Make it a big wide branch. But put it back down on the knee again, and could you roll over onto the right side, holding onto the right leg with the left foot? You could have your left foot on the ground, so it could be supporting, you know, still holding up the right foot. But, you know, feel how different it is here. Maybe not so easy to move your foot in, to move your whole leg in a circle, but move your foot, the right foot, in a circle. Move the right foot in the circle, holding on to it with your left hand. And, you know, notice how that draws the rest of your body into that movement. You could maybe hold it with the other hand. You could hold the ankle with the right ankle with the right hand as well. Move the whole foot and the lower leg. Just, you know, where you can comfortably. You could lift your head if that made it easier, or you could leave your head on the ground. But try moving your right foot in a circle. What do you have to do to move your right foot in a circle? You know, your whole torso will move. There's something, you know, your ribs will move. You know, one side will get shorter, one side will get longer. If you know, notice if you draw the right foot toward your head, what happens in the pelvis? You know, feel which direction the pelvis moves relative to your head. And when you move the foot away, you know how the pelvis moves in the opposite direction. And notice once again, if you move this right foot around in a circle, that there's also a circle in the right hip on the floor. The whole body, to make this, if you're making this easy, will move. And if you were going to fly through the air and land on a branch, you know, you'd be reaching out with your toes first. So as you go round in a circle with this right foot, could you move your toes as if you're going to land on a branch, a lovely soft branch? That's lovely. And then leave that and roll onto your back and rest. Let your legs be long and just notice how that feels. The feeling through your pelvis, feeling through that whole leg. And what are the feeling in the left arm, the left shoulder? You know, is there a different sense of the right side of your pelvis and the left shoulder compared to what you feel on the left side of your pelvis and the right shoulder? Well, once again, lift your left foot, stand the left foot on the branch. And this time, could you take your right foot and could you slide it between the left foot and your pelvis and back again? You know, so you draw the knee out, the right knee out to the side, and you know, point the toes so you can get the toes through the gap between the left foot and your pelvis. And of course, you can make it much easier by having your left foot further away from your pelvis. So you don't have to make it hard. Make it easy. You know, have your foot a decent distance away. So, you know, it's not much of a strain. And, you know, notice how much finesse can you do this with? Try that sliding it out to the side so the foot can be heavy, and then sliding it through that gap between the left heel and your pelvis. And, you know, allow your body to roll as you're doing it. You know, it's clearly going to be easier if the right side of your pelvis rolls over to the right as you draw the, you know, the right knee out to the side. And, you know, if you press down a little, the left foot a little bit, you know, and lift the left hip, you know, you'll feel the whole torso moving. Maybe that will make it easy. You could slide it through as, you know, as if you were going to trick someone. You're going to pretend you're just lying here doing nothing, but actually you're going to slide your foot through and you're going to push them a little bit, you know, push them off the branch or something, and then move your leg back as if it wasn't me. You know, can you do that so smoothly? Play a game. And maybe this time, come through, leave your foot there, the right foot between the left foot and the pelvis, and hold on to it with your hand. Hold the left foot with your left hand, the right foot. Hold the right foot with your left hand. Hold the heel first. Feel that bone, so easy to grasp. No, it's like a thumb. And we have an arch in our foot. That's where our arch is, from between the thumb and the other four. Feel, you know, hold the thumb and move the toes of the right foot. And feel when you're holding onto the heel and you're moving the toes of the right foot, notice the dynamism of that right leg. Right through the lower leg, right through the thigh, up into your pelvis. You can grasp things with your fingers. You can press forcefully, or kick, or tear, and you can touch tenderly. Well, leave it now. Hold on to your foot, maybe the blade of the foot or wherever you can. And of course, to do that, your left side has been shortened. Hold on to the foot, right foot with the left hand, and now roll your pelvis round in a circle. Now, of course, it's going to be a funny circle because your pelvis the left side of your pelvis is probably lifted up. So don't force it, but just see how you can move round in a circle. You're rolling the pelvis up and then you roll it across and then down and then across and up. And when you roll your pelvis up, the lower back flattens. When you roll it down, the lower back lifts. And when your lower back lifts, your neck flattens. When your lower back flattens, your neck lifts. And that's because the lower back is attached to the rib cage. So if you lift the lower back, you're lifting the lower half of the rib cage. And if you lift the lower half of the rib cage, the top part goes down. And that opposite movement between the neck and the lower back, well, that allows all this movement in your head as well. Head and your rib cage. And leave that for a moment. Move your left leg. Or in fact, let your legs be long. Just rest there for a second. Just notice how that feels. That sense of the diagonal connection between the right foot and the left hand. And you can imagine if you have the right foot on one side of a branch and the left hand on the other side of a branch, how the two can work together. And that's whether the branch is underneath you or whether you're reaching up for a branch, with your hand or your foot for that matter. But how each side works, the opposite side can work together. And roll your head a little bit side to side once or twice. Notice you still have that sense of the spine and the other limbs. It's just that the right leg and left arm, that diagonal connection probably seems much stronger. But lift the left foot up again and slide the right foot through that gap between the left heel and the pelvis. Hold on to it with the left hand. And pick up your left leg into the air. Just like you don't have to lift the foot to the ceiling, you could just lift the foot off the floor. But, move the left leg round in a circle. Notice if you could move the left leg over to the left or over to the right. And notice the effect that has. How the weight of your left leg influences the rest of your body and influences this diagonal connection you have now between the left hand and the right leg. You could roll your head at the same time. And now move it over to the right and roll onto the right side. And come back again. Remember, you just extend your left leg over to the right, roll your head, keep your left leg extending and you'll just roll over onto your right side. So you have your, and stay here now, you have your right foot in the air, like we did the other way, but so much more comfortable like this, isn't it? In fact, roll your foot, or move your foot in a circle. The foot and the lower leg in a circle here. So you feel it rolling across the thigh. You could lift the head if that made it easier, and rest when you need to. Don't strain. If it's too hard, use your imagination and do something different. Think of something that's going to be related to it. How can you move your foot in a circle and feel that movement in the right thigh rolling on the floor and the movement in the hip? Is your pelvis rolling? And if imagine you're on a branch, you've got to balance yourself. So maybe when your foot is going one way, your rib cage is going the other to maintain this sense of stability. And leave that for a moment. Roll onto your back again. Keep holding on to the left foot, the right foot with the left hand, however. And now move your left leg over to the left and roll yourself over to the left side. Now, you probably have to move your right foot forward, or you're going to have to lift yourself over your forearm. So do that. In fact, move the right foot forward and back. You're holding on to the right foot with the left hand, and move both legs forward and back, really, away from you, but you're holding on to the right foot. You're extending both legs forward. And can you feel what's going on in your torso to do this? The more that you allow yourself to soften, the easier it is. So you don't have to strain, only go as far as is easy, but, let your back round when your legs go forward. So you just make it really easy. And stay there with your right foot on the ground and your right knee in the air. And now in this position, move your knee around in a circle, like we did when it was crossed over the top of your knee. But how is it different here? Moving your knee and your pelvis in a circle on the left hip. And, allow your torso to move. So your head can go in a circle. The whole side can roll in a circle, as if you're on a branch. You could change direction. And just pause here for a second. Pause. And think, behind you, you've got a friend on a branch very close by. Could you, we'll do it slowly first, could you roll onto your back and then over onto your right side? So now you have your right foot in the air. And then back across your back, and then back onto the left side. So now you can reach the right arm above you, above your head. So, it's like you're reaching out like those proboscis monkeys when they leap out of trees. You reach out above, you lengthen your body and then come back down to settle, land on a branch. And then press down on that right foot, launch yourself into space in slow motion over onto this other branch. And then come back again. And, so have this sense, launch yourself and extends the the right arm and the left leg, and go side to side as if you're leaping through the trees, and then you put your foot and your hands down. Side to side in slow motion. Like you can feel yourself flying with that absolute certainty that you can land in so many ways. And in fact, it's interesting that notice every time you end up to one side, you're in a slightly different position. You're maybe in a different position on the branch. And if you're landing and leaping onto a branch that's moving, well, everything has to be able to adapt. Well, leave that now. Lie down your back and rest. Let your legs and arms be long. Notice how it feels now. Having moved the left leg and right arm, notice how that is now. Well, lift your right leg, stand the right leg on the floor, and cross your left leg over the right. You could have a couple of goes if you like. Now, maybe this side's not as flexible as the other one. That's fine, just make it easy. Put the leg wherever you can, hold on to it. If you can hold on to the heel, that's great. Hold on to the heel here with your right hand, holding on to the left heel with the right hand. And just feel the foot on this side. And move your heel. Move it forward and back. Feel that movement through your pelvis, through the leg. And allow the rest of your body to move with this gentle twisting of the lower leg. Allow that to move your upper leg and the pelvis, and let your rib cage and your head go too. So it's a lazy whole body movement. And feel the miraculous hand that you have holding onto your foot. We evolved these opposing thumbs so we could go to the ends of branches, because often it's at the ends of the branches where you have the flowers and the fruits. So having that ability to have a strong grip, really important. But feel, the way the thumb and the other fingers coordinate through the palm. And maybe leave the movement, but still holding on to your heel there. Move the toes of the left foot. You can relax the rest of your body as much as you can, so you can feel the influence of the movements of your toes through the whole leg, through the whole body. And in fact, leave your leg there and now roll the pelvis round in a circle. Roll your pelvis round in a circle. Over to one side and then down, over to the other side and up. across to the other side, then down. Just in an easy way, in a way that makes it easy for you, and softening through your torso, allowing your shoulders to relax, your rib cage. So you allow the whole body to move rather than using force. You can just sort of roll. And remember, we're lying on a branch. So notice as you roll over, your pelvis goes over to one side, that your rib cage is probably going over to the other side. What is your head doing? Notice which way your pelvis, your rib cage, and your head do in order to roll your pelvis round in a circle. You can change direction if you like. Go in whichever way is easy. A small movement so you can really allow the whole of your body to move. So you can sense how your body can adapt, change its shape to allow you to balance on this branch. How it can change its shape to make a movement. And then leave that. Let your arms and legs long. Sense how that feels. And then lift up your right knee, stand the right foot on the floor, cross the left foot over it, hold on to the foot in whichever way is easy, and roll over onto your right side, holding onto the foot. And feel you can press that foot into your hand, into the ground, into the branch. Then roll your foot around. Feel how you can press on one side or the other or your heel to give you stability. And when you do that, when you press on one side of the foot, what you feel through your leg and hip. Maybe roll your foot around on your hand here and just get a sense of what actually happens through the rest of your body. Maybe your pelvis is rolling too. Maybe your knee is moving in a circle. In fact, do that. Move your knee in a circle and feel how you could actually move the whole pelvis on this side. You could leave your foot now. Let that just stay where it is there on your hand. But move the left knee in a circle. That means you're moving the left hip too. And you're rolling the right hip on the ground in a circle. And to do that, your upper body has to move too, and your head. They could all go together, or they could go one after the other. Your knee could move first, and then your rib cage and head could follow. Like you're riding a bucking bronco. There's that movement through the whole spine. Very nice. Maybe leave that, come back to your back and let your legs be long. Notice how that is. and lift your right knee up again. Stand the left knee on the foot, on the right knee. Hold on to the left foot with the right hand and roll onto your left side. Have your left foot on the right foot on the ground and the left foot in the air, and move your foot round in a circle here. And feel, what happens right through the leg and what happens right through the whole of your body. When you move your foot in a circle, there's probably rotation in the lower leg, which means there's a little movement in the upper leg, which you can feel in the hip. Roll it round. Now hold it with both hands and move the whole lower leg in a circle. Hold the left leg with both hands and now move it in a circle, allowing your leg to move, the rest of your body to move to make this easy. And notice when your foot goes towards you, your pelvis moves away from you. When your foot goes away, the pelvis moves toward you, on the ground, that is. So one side shortens and one side lengthens. Maybe a little easier if your head is in the air. And then you can move or feel that sense of lengthening and shortening on each side. And then leave that. Roll onto your back. Notice your contact with the floor now. And now lift the right leg up and place the right foot on the floor. And now draw the left leg out, left knee out to the side, and slide the left foot through that gap between the right foot and the pelvis. Make it really easy and feel, how your whole body can move. Now you're probably pressing down on the right foot, lifting the right hip, so you roll your pelvis over to the left as you draw the left leg out to the side. And maybe that moment when you actually slide the left foot into that gap, something else is happening with the spine. That you shorten one side, you shorten the right side when you're sliding the left foot through the gap, and you lengthen the left side. And when you draw it out, it reverses. Feel that sideways movement of the spine. And the next time you come through, just leave it there and hold on to the left heel with your right hand. Hold the left heel here. And move the toes of the left foot. And notice you can feel all the muscular connections through to the heel, but also all the muscular connections through to the knee and thigh and the rest of your body. And now hold on to that left foot in whichever way is comfortable and roll your pelvis round in a circle. Rolling your pelvis round in a circle, allowing the whole body to go with it, making it smooth and easy. And make it easy. Allow the whole body to move. So that you feel your head move. That's really what's important, that you can allow your shoulders and your rib cage to soften. And even if it seems, you know, like you can't, it's not going in a circle, or you can only go in one direction, whatever you do, just make it really small and just see how can you soften, how can you allow the whole body to move. You know, so you feel, you know, and you use probably you can press down on the right foot in order to roll your pelvis over to the left, and maybe you're pressing on the left leg or the left hip to roll onto the right. And when you're doing that, of course, there's an opposite reaction in your rib cage and shoulders. Well, leave that for a moment. Just rest there. Let your legs be long. You notice how that feels. Roll your head side to side. And stand your right foot on the branch and slide the left foot through the gap there. Hold on to the left foot with the right hand. And now lift your right leg in the air and move it in a circle. And notice if you move the leg in a circle, what you do with the rest of the body to counterbalance. You know, the leg goes over to the right. What does the left shoulder do? And when the leg goes over to the left, what does the right shoulder do? And now explore that counterbalance. Extend your leg and, you know, move it side to side and feel how you can begin to roll by reaching with your leg, and it starts to move you. And reach over to the left in a way and keep reaching there so you can roll onto the left side. And now in this position, move your foot round in a circle. And notice how when you're doing that, that's moving your pelvis, your upper leg, and the rest of your spine. Probably a bit easier if you have your head in the air. To feel that movement through the whole spine, where it's that sideways movement. And then roll onto your back, still holding on to the foot. Now move the right foot over to the right. You know, actually holding on to the left foot, I'm sorry. Move the left foot and the right leg over to the right and back. So you're sliding the both legs over, but you're holding on to the left leg with your right hand. And stay on the right side now. And move your left knee round in a circle. So you're rolling on the right hip, round in a circle. Nice. Other direction. And now, could you roll over to the other side? Roll onto your other side, still holding onto the left leg with the right foot. And just, consider you're on a branch, and you could push yourself, and you could reach over with the right leg and extend the left arm to roll right over onto your side. Side to side, like you're leaping from one branch to another. The idea of fully extending yourself, extending the right leg and the left arm. And in fact, if you do that, you can roll right onto your stomach. Extend the left arm and the right leg, and you can roll right over onto your back on the other side. So you reach, you roll over the side, extend the right leg and the left arm, and it makes you roll. You bring them in when you roll over. Now, there's a point you come to when you're on your back. You have, your foot, your left foot on the ground and the knee, and your right arm under your back. You have to actually lift yourself up over the foot to do that. In fact, come back to the middle. Let's break that down a bit, because that might be a little tricky. Lie here on your back. Bend the right leg, stand the foot on the floor, hold on to the left foot with your right hand, and lift the left knee up. So you're standing on the right hand, your left knee's in the air, and your feet are crossed over. But press down on both feet and lift your pelvis up. So you can slide your pelvis up over your wrist and over your forearm and move on to the right side. And then you could press on the foot and lift your pelvis up and move it over the hand. Now, if that's that's too much of a stretch, just imagine it. But if you can, this is a way that you can roll over. You press down the foot, lift the pelvis over the arm, and then you continue rolling over, and you can roll right over onto that side again on your back. Lift your pelvis over the leg and then keep rolling. So you can roll right over and over like this. When you get the foot down, you lift the left knee, you lift the pelvis over the arm, and you roll over. And if the extent to which you reach with the left arm and the right leg is the extent to which this is easy. And it's the timing of how you press, when you press on the foot in order to raise your pelvis over your foot. Leave that for a moment. Just lie down on your back and rest. You notice how you feel now. And notice that even if your branch is swaying in the wind now, how much your body can just conform to that now. Well, lift your left foot. Stand the left foot on the floor. Slide the right foot underneath. Hold on to it with your left hand. Lift up the right knee so both knees are standing up. Press down on your pelvis. Lift your pelvis up and move it over your left arm and then back. Press down on the foot. Experiment with where you have your hand and your foot. You press down on the foot and lift your pelvis over the arm so you roll onto the left side. Now, if you can use your right arm to sort of assist you to move it over there. to lift. But the thing is, if you now roll over onto your, holding onto to the right foot with the left hand, roll onto your stomach and extend the right arm and the left leg, and now roll onto your back, that you can do this more easily with that left arm, left leg and right arm extended. If you keep extending them out and roll over your back, press down on the foot and roll, where you could actually, press down on one foot and leap through the trees, reach with that hand and arm, and then catch yourself. Nice. Beautiful. Looks lovely. Make it smooth. That sense of lengthening throughout and then collecting yourself. And then lengthening out as you leap and then collecting yourself. And then leave that. Line your back there and rest. So just, soon we're going to come up onto our branch again, standing up. But just have your hands above you as if you're upside down on a branch. So your hands and your feet are organized as if you're standing. And can you sort of push your arms and feet away as if you were shaking that branch, shaking the branch ready to leap off into space toward another branch, or maybe down into a river. And maybe try walking, go from one foot and hand in front of the other. So you're sort of walking on this branch, but as if, it's the easiest thing in the world to do. And in fact, line your left side and do the same thing. Push, organize your hands and feet as if you're standing on a branch, and push them away and together as if you are shaking the branch ready to move. And then push down and leap across to the other side. And then land with your feet and your hands on a branch. So leap, extend yourself, and then land in this way. So you push on the branch, get the sense of the elasticity of the branch, and wait till it's moving back, till it's going to throw you over to the other side, and then land on your branch on this side. Do the same thing here, as if you're some sort of monkey precision team training for a show you're going to do. And then push and wait for it to spring, and then fly across to the other side. And, it's a funny thing, that sense of being long. If you push and you extend your arms and legs, you could roll right over a whole 360 and then land. You keep your arms, so you push, and then you roll, extending the arms and legs, lift your head and your legs and your arms, and then land. That's great. So you push, you get the elastic recall, extend your arms and legs, and lift your head so you're rolling really over your belly, right over to the side, and then land with your feet and hands on a branch. And then push and roll right over and land. That's great. Leave that. Roll on your back for a second, just rest. Yeah. Notice how that feels now. Sensitivity you feel in your hands and feet. Freedom you feel through your body. And now roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and feet. Come up onto your hands and feet. Yeah. And could you stand on a branch? So have your feet organized as if they're on a branch. And now walk on that branch. Does that feel easy? You know, think of each hand and foot working in opposition, pressing onto the opposite side of the branch. And you know, it's extending the arms and legs. And then leave that come up to stand. Sense how that feels to stand now. The feeling you have on each side. How each side supports the other and how each side moves together or works together. You know, as you feel your feet on the ground, each foot touching the ground can push in a different direction to maintain stability as you look. And then try walking and notice how it is. Yes. How the limbs work together in opposition through the head, neck and torso.